The maritime equilibrium of the Middle East has ceased to exist, replaced by a strategic encirclement so total and so devastating in its potential for mass-scale destruction that the global community is now witnessing the single most significant concentration of naval combat power since the opening salvos of the 2003 Iraq invasion. Following the high-speed transatlantic transit of the USS Gerald R. carrier strike group, the Pentagon has effectively locked the gates of the Persian Gulf and the Eastern Mediterranean, posturing two full carrier strike groups supported by an unprecedented 15 guided missile destroyers and a lethal shadow fleet of attack submarines distributed across the combatant command areas of responsibility. This massive influx of firepower represents more than just a routine patrol. It constitutes exactly 1/3 of the United States Navy's entire forward deployed surface combatant capacity, a numerical density that indicates Washington is no longer interested in deterrence, but is instead finalizing a kinetic firing solution for the Iranian integrated air defense system. In this comprehensive sit-rep, I'm going to break down the cold, hard mathematics of this deployment, showing you the vertical launch system cell configurations that prove a massive loadout of over 600 Tomahawk land attack missiles is currently locked onto Iranian command and control nodes, and I will show you the satellite tracking data revealing why the USS Gerald R. Ford's electromagnetic catapult system is the force multiplier that makes this specific fleet a nightmare for the IRGC. We are currently at a DEFCON 2 equivalent in theater, as the Ford joins a second strike group to create a dual-carrier kill box that stretches from the Gulf of Aden to the Levantine coast, a strategic posture designed to neutralize Iranian proxies in Yemen, Lebanon, and Iraq simultaneously while holding the heart of Tehran in a 600-missile crosshair. The decision to move 15 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, each bristling with 96 VLS cells, into firing positions is a surgical move that guarantees sea control and sustained land attack capability, providing a sustained air operations window that Iran's aging Air Force cannot hope to contest. History shows that the U.S. Navy only consolidates this level of forward deployed power when the decision to strike has already been finalized behind closed doors at the Pentagon, and the presence of multiple nuclear-powered attack submarines, the silent killers capable of carrying 154 Tomahawks each, means that the first wave of any conflict will likely begin beneath the waves, long before the first FA-18 Super Hornet launches from the Ford's deck. The mathematics of the 600 Tomahawk strike is simple but terrifying. By allocating 15 destroyers, the U.S. can simultaneously defend against a swarm of Iranian fast boats using their Aegis combat systems while still maintaining a surplus of Tomahawks to strike internal targets like Natanz, Fordo, and the IRGC's underground missile cities. This force package enables the U.S. to conduct integrated air and missile defense on a scale that turns the entire Middle East into an impenetrable American fortress, essentially daring Tehran to make the slightest miscalculation so that the Pentagon can deliver a decapitation blow that resets the regional order for the next 50 years. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced warship ever built, is now operating with its full complement of stealth-capable assets, and its presence allows for a 30% increase in sortie rates compared to older Nimitz-class carriers, meaning the bombardment of Iranian shore batteries and drone launch sites can be maintained 24 hours a day without respite. If Iran attempts to follow through on its threat to close the Strait of Hormuz, they will find themselves staring into the teeth of 600 precision-guided Tomahawks and an air wing capable of leveling every port and refinery along their 1,500-mile coastline in a matter of hours. This is the day zero scenario that the IRGC has feared for decades, an American armada that has finally stopped playing the game of gradual escalation and has instead opted for a total encirclement that leaves Tehran with no exit strategy and no room for error. The global economic impact of this deployment is already being felt, as oil markets recognize that 1/5 of the world's supply is now under the direct protection or threat of the Ford's guns, and any strike on U.S. interests will trigger a regional firestorm that could push oil prices past $200 per barrel, effectively weaponizing the global economy against any Iranian retaliation. The clock is ticking. The pieces are on the board, and as the dual-carrier strike force finishes its final positioning, the world is holding its breath to see if the Supreme Leader blinks or if the U.S. Navy is about to demonstrate why no other nation on planet Earth has the capability to enforce its will through every domain of land, air, and sea. Strategic assessment. With 600 Tomahawks now locked on their targets and 1/3 of the Navy's forward power surrounding Iran, is this the ultimate deterrent that prevents World War III? Or are we witnessing the final mobilization for a strike that changes the Middle East forever? Does Iran blink in the face of this overwhelming encirclement, or do they strike first in a desperate attempt to break the cage? Sound off in the comments with your tactical analysis, because the crosshairs are locked, the subs are in position, and the next 48 hours will decide the fate of the global order. Stay alert, monitor the wires, and prepare for the sirens. Dismissed.